But first, vintage. It's in vogue. We know that. And while it's easy to step back and admire the character and the texture those vintage collectibles can add to a space, it can be a struggle to know what to shop for and really where to even start. My first guest says 15 bucks is all you need to bring some vintage flair and vintage fun into your own home. Jennifer Reed with Three Daughters Vintage Market is joining me with fun vintage collectibles for under $15. I think I just said vintage 15 times.
You did.
Is that the topic?
That is the topic today, yes.
Do you find this a lot, though? Because people I know admire your style. They come to the market, they admire everything you offer, and then they go home and think, I could never pull that off in my own space.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think, too, people also think you have to spend, like, a lot of money.
Right.
You know, and so that kind of holds people back because it's, like, a big investment. So I'm always like, start small, you know, put out a few bucks and see if it'll work, and then start to, you know, design and integrate vintage into your home.
You've curated a great beginner's list for us so that we can start piece by piece, $15 at a time, you promise.
That's right.
Bring in that vintage flair into our homes. It starts with pieces that are tarnished silver.
Yes, yes. I think tarnished silver is like a really hot look right now. And if you kind of look into home decor magazines, and you see a lot of silver or metal, even some brass as well. And so they're awesome. They're great to use in vignettes. Vignettes is kind of a popular thing to do with vintage decorating. You know, you're curating some items together.
Mini groupings in a hallway table.
Hallway or a sofa table, or on a bookshelf. If you see like a lot of Pinterest or a lot of Instagram, you see really well curated bookshelves.
Which is nice because as an at-home decorator, you don't have to rehaul an entire room. You can just pick a little corner.
Exactly. I love it. And tarnished silver. So I actually had an interior designer always said you should always add a little bit of sparkle or a little bit of you know, that silver or metal or brass, you know, to a vignette to make it really pop.
Well, and I feel like, I guess this doesn't shine necessarily, but it does add the metal quality. I feel like this translates to a lot of different styles as well. Transitional, modern, you can work in that into different looks.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, vintage books next on your list. And this is just, I think, an obvious one, but it adds so much to a bookcase or to a shelving grouping.
Yes, and you know, you can kind of choose like what kind of like collection you want to curate. If you're interested in collecting books, I use books all over my house, you know, for decorating purposes.
And what are we looking for? The color or the interesting binding?
Yeah, so I think it's all of those things. So I especially love children's books. I'm very attracted to children's books. I love like usually the graphics and the colors. And so I use that a lot. In fact, as my kids were growing up, they had like vintage books all over their rooms, you know. But like, for example, like these just kind of fun, big graphics, colors. Like I think these books would look awesome in a little boy's room.
They're beautiful.
You know, and they have maybe some more masculine topics, trains and sailboats in the Navy, you know.
Nice.
And so, and then there's like this little stack which has that bright primary color.
Oh, it's like a rainbow just shouting at you.
Yeah, exactly. But then covers, I love the old covers.
Okay.
And you can just stack them up and throw some tarnished silver on it with a plant.
I'm laughing because it's not quite vintage in the vintage book category, but I'm in this little kick right now of ordering some children's books from my childhood that I remember right by picture or title.
Awesome.
So I'm ordering these online, and as they come, I noticed in the, you know, as I open the flap, it's either a librarian or a school teacher. My mom was a school teacher, so she'd bring those books into our home. Anyway,
that's awesome.
So not quite vintage, but those throwback books do add a lot of meaning
definitely.
for sure. All right, cake plates. Why are they so hot right now?
Well, so I think cake plates. I think because when you think about what are some really awesome trends right now, it's like cooking, decorating, baking. You see a lot of that. So what better way to like showcase your baked goods than on a beautiful cake plate?
Well, and the height too it can add to a vignette that you talked about.
Exactly. Yeah, I definitely use these. I use these at Christmas time with my decorations. But the reason I chose the glass is because they're affordable. They're still really affordable. Sometimes if you move into like some other kinds of ceramic or, you know, they're a little more expensive or jadeite, but glass is still affordable. You can get a vintage glass cake plate for 15 or
and
less.
the detail on the etching I think is super interesting.
It's really beautiful. And because it's got that clear glass, you can just kind of buy whatever, you know, and the fact that they're just all beautiful together.
It works. All right, the next item on your list, I need a definition. What's a flower frog?
Okay, so a flower frog, that was like a
Should I know this?
Well, maybe. I don't know.
Am I confessing my hair color?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
So flower frogs were like staples of florists, like probably from the Victorian era. Like I don't think florists use it anymore.
I wasn't born then, so to my defense.
So yes, right. That's right.
What do we do with them now?
So a lot of times people love, and I as myself love to repurpose them into to kind of casual picture frames.
Oh, cute.
You know, and so they've got these like spiky things, and you can stick a picture, and they stand up so nicely, and you can put them anywhere. You can put like sayings or old family pictures, or I have a picture of my daughter.
Darling.
And it's like, it's not a huge commitment to like stick it in a frame, and you know, you can trade them out pretty easily.
And $15 is a reasonable price point?
Easily. Yeah, well, and like less. And they have interesting shapes. They're small, they're
Do these
triangles.
go fast?
They do. I sell a ton of these. Like, they usually go quite fast.
So keep your eye out.
Yes.
You know, vintage has definitely become trendy when a store brand like Anthropologie is replicating, in this case, vintage aprons. You walk into Anthropologie, and this is the type of, you know, item you're seeing. So for the throwback look, what can we do with those in our homes today?
I just think you can, again, I love the idea of using vintage to even kind of do temporary decorating.
Okay.
So say you just kind of want to freshen up your kitchen, or you want a new look. It's like, find a fun apron that matches your color palette and throw it up on a window, and have it as a window covering.
Oh, clever.
You know, and so you don't have to like commit to the curtains and the rod and everything, but you can just, you know, pin it up there, and maybe you'll be tired of it in a month and you can take it down. I think vintage aprons, again, because of the whole cooking, it's fun to just kind of add that flair.
It's nostalgic too. This is something my grandma really would have worn in her own kitchen, right?
Yes, exactly.
Many years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, vintage clocks, also on the hot commodity list. What can we do with those today?
So I just like, you know what, again, I just love things that you can just intermix in your home, in different places of your home. Again, it would look great in a vignette, but I think they're kind of just stunning all together. Just the graphics.
They're cool.
Graphic is like really popular and kind of a hot item. You know, anything that's very graphic and has letters or numbers.
Right.
And so I just think all together they're quite stunning.
Is this your collection?
This is my collection.
If you're going to jump on a collection bandwagon, I think the clocks is a cool one.
I do too. I do too. And they're, again, really affordable too.
Nice. Yeah. All right, so $15 is a good price point for any of these items.
Definitely.
If you're in the market for any of these items, you have a show coming up.
I do. And so we do our show at the Old Pleasant Grove Rec Center right in downtown Pleasant Grove. It's February 4th, and we are open from 8 to 4 with lots of vendors with lots of fun vintage.
There's always a great buzz in the air. I know at your winter show in particular, people are itching to freshen up their spaces.
Definitely.
For the approaching spring season, yes, I said spring. Jennifer, it's great to see you.
Good to see you
Thanks
too.
for your expert eye and